WrestleBuddy Podcast. All about wrestling. Subscribe and follow for more content.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of WrestleBuddy, being hosted by the Joker from TNI UK, Impacted, representing Total Nonstop Impact. I'm joined by Alan and Jimmy. So, Alan, would you like to give us more information about yourself?
Hi, it's Andy here from Brit Wrestle Fan Podcast. Also write articles for WrestleBuddy, more top 5 of stuff, whatever pops into my head, really. And you can find me on Twitter at Brit Wrestle PC.
And Jimmy, anything you would like to add?
Right for WrestleBuddy, NXT is my thing. I love everything NXT. You can find me at Mitb on Twitter. That's it. We'll jump into it.
Okay, and you can find me on Twitter at JOKEmptyspace. We'll kick off with all things Impact Wrestling. Get the one of the biggest of the 2 big events for the last week out of the way first. We'll start off with Slammiversary. I'll quickly go through the we'll talk about the big title matches and the appearances who came through, and then it's about Sami Callihan. So the title matches, obviously, with the Knockouts Tag Team title match won by Rosemary and Jessica Havoc, beating Fire and Flavor, which was something I was rooting for, but something I didn't expect. What were your guys' thoughts on this?
I haven't had a chance to watch Slammiversary yet, so I'm kind of out of the loop on this part. I've heard a few things, but that's all I have on it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm the same. I didn't really watch it. I'm not really watching Impact at the moment. Slowly but surely starting to get back into it. I know in the UK now it's starting to be shown on. I think it's Pluto, isn't it? So yes. Going forward, I will start catching that more.
Yeah, you can also get it on Impact Plus pretty easily as well. But yeah, the match itself was really solid. It was on the Slammiversary pre-show, so you can get that match on YouTube from start to finish as well. Which I do recommend, if you haven't seen this match, at least check this one out. It is a fantastic match to kick off the event. I was a bit disappointed it wasn't on the main card, but with hindsight, looking at how the night played out itself, it makes sense to kick off with a match like this, and this match set the tone for the whole night. And we then kicked off Slammiversary with the Ultimate X match won by Josh Alexander, who is now retaining the X Division title. This man has absolutely changed the face of the X Division right back to way before I was watching Impact Wrestling, TNA. And, you know, he's done what Don Callis and Scott D'Amore set out to do. They wanted to rebuild the whole company, and now they've managed to go full circle with the X Division with Josh Alexander, making it less about high-flying lightweight guys, bringing a guy that has Josh Alexander in to go through the Ultimate X match. We hadn't seen a guy of similar size of that to Josh Alexander since Ethan Page went to the Ultimate X match. So it's that was about 2 years ago, I think 2018. So it's a pretty long time since a guy roughly the same height and weight as Josh Alexander to go into this match, and it was damn impressive. So any reaction to that? Or
yeah, I've seen Alexander. I think he's a really good worker. You know, to be honest with you, it's one of the guys that I'm looking to go back and look at more of his stuff. Seen a few clips on YouTube and things like that. So if there's one person that'll bring eyes onto Impact, it could be him.
Yeah. I recommend, if you haven't seen it, look for the 60-minute Iron Man match he had with TJP on BTI. They'll find that on YouTube from start to finish with no adverts in as well. That's a good match after he won the X Division title. That was match of the year for me so far, and the main event at Slammiversary is right behind it. The other title match we had, of course, we had the tag team titles, they were held by Violent by Design, defended by Joe Doring and Rhino, who had won them from the previous champions, Finjuice. They were then won by the Good Brothers in this match. Now, I was rooting for Violent by Design when we did the prediction show, and I was bitterly disappointed that the Good Brothers won. Not from a fan perspective, and because the Good Brothers haven't really, they've just come back into the tag division, and they're the ones who win the match, rather than it being Rich Swann and Willie Mack. Although the favourites to win were TJP and Falaba, but TJP had to go to surgery to repair his broken nose, so he couldn't. So they weren't going to have Falaba and his mystery partner, who we'll be talking about later in a minute. So unfortunately, things just didn't go the way there, but they worked around it pretty well for the following week. So, is there any reaction to the Good Brothers coming back into the tag division?
I'm not a fan of it. That's my reaction.
Yeah.
It's just there. I feel like it's just part of the whole Kenny Omega invasion ordeal. It's not for anything other than that. To take it away from the Violent by Design, I think was just a mistake. I don't. Not a fan.
Well, they've made it pretty clear that they're gonna get their revenge on Rich Swann and Willie Mack. So that's something to look forward to next week. But I'm hoping, and they're gonna hold off their rematch for when the time is right. So they're not giving up on chasing the titles. That's something that's well worth remembering. They pointed that out after the night itself. But I'm hoping we don't see the Violent by Design versus the Good Brothers. I hope we see them versus someone better, to be honest. Maybe going for the titles.
Yeah, I think the Good Brothers have never been the same since they left WWE. You know, I don't know whether it was down to lack of confidence because, let's face it, they didn't have a great run there, or what was the issue. But they haven't been the same. They haven't had the same feel since they've left there. To me.
For the first time I saw them was at WWE, and I was impressed. But all I saw from them was pretty much what I'm seeing now from Impact Wrestling. Although on Impact they've got that extra creative freedom which we saw back in New Japan. So things are going right for them in Impact Wrestling. It's just the whole revolving door with Kenny Omega at the moment is really what's holding them all back, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get stick off of everybody on the TNI crew. I'm pretty sure, but a bit more freedom to voice, I think, in a separate platform. The other title matches we had, Deonna Purrazzo defended her title against a mystery opponent, and that mystery opponent was Thunder Rosa. Our predictions were it might have been Chelsea Green, it might have been Mickie James, it might have been Taylor Wilde, who were all teased to come back in around Slammiversary. But Thunder Rosa coming in after we had Lady Frost the week before, that was a really impressive and well hidden secret from Impact Wrestling, and the match itself was fantastic. What were your thoughts?
Thunder Rosa was who I actually predicted it was going to be. And again, since I haven't watched it, this is the one match that is at the top of my list of watching. So I'm a big fan of Thunder Rosa. I think she's one of the top women in the industry right now, and I'm excited to see her branch out into other platforms to really showcase it. So yeah, I'm excited to watch that match.
Yeah, same really. Thunder Rosa's, she's everywhere at the moment, isn't she? It shows you how much that she's coming out. The fact that I know she was under contract to NWA, wasn't it? And AEW bought a contract out, which Tony Khan said it was something that he wasn't going to do with any kind of talent. So the fact that he did do it kind of shows what he thinks of it and what she's thought of in the AEW locker room. So
thank you, Tony.
That match with Deonna Purrazzo was really impressive. Lady Frost put Deonna Purrazzo through her paces, and Thunder Rosa did just as well, if not better. So the last two matches Deonna Purrazzo had defending a title have really bolstered her back as a fighting champion again, because a lot of the matches so far have been a bit too predictable. It's been she gets either a disadvantage too early, and then it's like one smart move, and then the match is over. But this one, it was quite back and forth, and it was a good showing from both of them. It wasn't a clean cut this is how she's going to win it match type thing. So it's worth watching. It really was a really good stand-up match for Slammiversary. And of course, the main event capped off our title matches. We had Sami Callihan versus Kenny Omega. Sami Callihan didn't win, but Sami Callihan made this match show that Kenny Omega deserves to be the Impact Wrestling World Champion. And as a fan of Impact Wrestling, I'd say it's a bitter pill to swallow, but I'm a fan of Kenny Omega, so it's a bittersweet pill to swallow. But Sami Callihan proved that Kenny Omega is indeed someone that guys should be taking a bit more seriously. You guys really should be seeing why Impact Wrestling is invested in this guy so much, and why they've got Don Callis and Kenny Omega, and why all this is still going. You know, I thought it was going to end at Slammiversary with Sami Callihan winning because the Kenny Omega's going back to Japan soon, but I can see it probably going to Bound for Glory now, and whoever he faces at Bound for Glory, so far the expectation is Moose. I think it's probably going to be Moose too myself, but Kenny Omega in this match, he established himself as a main event player and it was awesome. So if you guys want to have an excuse to watch Slammiversary, and this match is one I really do recommend you tune in just to see this match.
All right. I'll take your word for it. It's hard to sell me on Kenny Omega matches. I just feel like since he's left New Japan, I'm not a person that's followed him for a long time or anything, but I've tuned into the matches I've heard about, and New Japan, I saw a lot in him, and I just don't feel like I've seen that same spark in him since he got. So maybe Sammy pulled it out of him, and he gave us something special, a little bit better than what we have gotten. But
yeah, Sami Callihan has brought something up. Kenny Omega was missing in AEW.
Okay, yeah, because that's what I've been waiting for. I mean, I know he's talented, but I just haven't seen that Kenny Omega spark yet. And so yeah, hopefully that's what we get out of that match when I watch it. I'll probably watch it later tonight.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Maybe in one thing that I did see on Twitter, that someone said is Sami Callihan come out to that match, you know, somebody losing a match but coming out with so much. And basically that's what he was saying, that even though he lost the match, he come out with so much credibility from that. And, you know, it's going to do him some well in the future as well. I think with Kenny, as you say, at the moment, he's getting so highly pushed. I think he is losing a bit of his in-ring work at the moment. And that can happen when, you know, when you're kind of, you know, building yourself up, as you say, in Japan, Jimmy, and he's pushing away and trying to get up there, and he's trying to do all these things, and kind of now he's at the top. That this is where the hard part is now, to kind of keep that momentum going and keep that standard going. And at the moment, from what I've heard, he's wrestling injured, and he's wrestling a lot, isn't he? So, you know, you don't know what that's playing into it either.
Yeah, you know, fair play to Kenny. He's been pretty seriously injured since the AEW's last pay-per-view, I think it was. So he's back in April, I think. So he's been wrestling three big matches on Impact Wrestling since then. He's had Moose, he's had Rich
Swann,
Rich Swann. You know, he's had plenty of big guys and talented guys who can match him move for move. And then he's gone into a death match, basically a death match with Sami Callihan, and still managed to come out on top, and still. And he didn't burn himself out in this match like he did in the match with Moose. That's one of the main things about this match. He really was well conditioned in this match. So it really did Sami Callihan really did do Kenny Omega a favor by taking the fall in this match. Other news to come out from Slammiversary was obviously W. Morrissey beat Eddie Edwards. So his undefeated streak at Impact Wrestling remains the same. And we also learned that his contract is now with Impact Wrestling up until Bound for Glory. So he's made it perfectly clear that even though he's on a short-term contract now, he's still open to extending it if the offer's right, if he feels Impact Wrestling is the right place for him. So he's following a same mindset that Matt Cardona did when he come to Impact Wrestling. He's still on the same sort of thing. He's not officially signed. He's there for a set amount of time free to go whenever he wants if he feels it's not right for him. So, what are your thoughts on W. Morrissey? Have you seen how he's turned himself around?
I saw he looks good. He seems to be taking it more seriously from the last time I saw him, because he definitely looked like he was just going by on his size before. The Eddie Edwards match, that sounds interesting. I didn't know that was a match on the card, actually. So that'll be interesting to see. Hopefully Morrissey will build on his return and get to that point that we all kind of thought he was going to when he was with WWE. And fell off course for whatever reason, But yeah, so hopefully,
I'll tell you now. Some of the promos he's done now, since coming to Impact Wrestling, have been absolute gold. So I do recommend, if you you check out some of the promos and interviews he's done, you just see how his mindset there has changed. And with this match from Summerversary is also going to end up, it's now a rematch coming up to Homecoming. Eddie Edwards and W. Morrissey are facing off again, and this time it's a full-blown hardcore match. So falls count anywhere, weapons are free, rather than it just being because Morrissey won this match, he didn't win this match cleanly. He had to, but he was really, really pushed to his limit in this match by Eddie Edwards, as you'd expect. Yeah. But he still didn't win the match cleanly, which didn't damage either of them. It was what you'd expect from a top heel. And now we've got basically the rubber match now coming up at Homecoming at the end of the month. So that's going to be an interesting match to see.
Yeah, the contract situation is kind of interesting. I didn't realize it was such a short term. So that's interesting to see, like, if this is going to be something he just keeps renewing up, or if he's going to be bouncing around to different places. That's interesting.
Yeah, I know he's had a few issues with mental health, hasn't he? And maybe they've not wanted to put the pressure on him by tying him into a contract, or he's not wanted to put the onus on the company in case he has any kind of relapse or something.
Yeah.
But whatever they're doing at the moment, it's working. So if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
exactly. And other appearances we got at Summerversary. We had Chelsea Green come back with Matt Cardona to take on Tennille Dashwood and Brian Myers, which was really, really impressive. I popped like a mad hatter for that match. I was really excited to see Chelsea Green back on the Impact Wrestling ring. We had No Way Jose coming to Impact Wrestling as Fallah Bahh's tag team partner. Now, I've heard the name before, but I'd never seen him before. So he was a hell of a lot bigger than I thought he was. And I really thought, and he put on a good showing at Summerversary, I was just blown away by how good he was. I knew the name, I knew he was good. And then when I saw what he could do at Summerversary in this 8-man tag team match, there's him and Fallah Bahh versus Rich Swann and Willie Mack versus by Design versus the Good Brothers. Yeah, he had a really good showing in this match. Other returns, we had Mickie James obviously come back at the end of Deonna Purrazzo's match against Thunder Rosa, and she famously kicked Deonna Purrazzo in the teeth for insulting her, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people are really pleased about. And then at the end of Kenny Omega's match, we had the appearance of Switchblade Jay White. Now, I've heard the name Jay White before, but I've never really followed the Bullet Club, and so when the night cut off as it did to the cliffhanger, I was a bit confused as to what the hell was going on, who'd come out and what was going on there. But it was all like a big name. Wow, this is big. That was enough to get my attention there. And thankfully, they made up for any confusion the following week on Impact Wrestling. But what are your thoughts, Lily? The names coming to Impact Wrestling on that night? I know it's just a one-off, but do you think?
Yeah, I've been waiting for the Jay White to show up. I mean, it's kind of been leaning towards that way since the whole. I feel like they've dropped the hints that he's coming. Maybe not to Impact, but around the Kenny Omega situation, it kind of seemed like they were heading towards that way. So it's cool that it happened. I like the cliffhanger. And a lot of people were like, "What the heck?" I like cliffhangers. I think it's the best way to get you to tune in, no matter what, to the next show.
Yeah. I think the only problem I put the
Situation,
cliffhanger
so
was
I like the cliffhanger.
yeah. The only issue I had with the cliffhanger was they didn't say we're out of time, we have to go. It just suddenly cut off. So it was more how it was delivered from production side
Okay.
rather than the actual story perspective.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I was thought in the end he'd turn up somewhere like TNA or AEW. I wasn't too sure where he'd turn up. And the other one for me was Chelsea Green. I know she did wrestle. She had a cast on, didn't she, when she wrestled?
Yes, she's
Yes.
she had a surgery on her arm. She's still got.
I think she rebroke it too, didn't she?
Yeah. So I knew she'd done that, which is why when they were saying about missed the opponent, I thought, well, it could be Chelsea, but then Chelsea's injured. And when she did turn up, it kind of like, when I seen it, it surprised me because of the fact of, I thought she was going to be out with the injury. So, that was a good surprise.
Yeah, I thought if she was injured, I thought she'd come out and then say because she's injured, she can't team with Matt Carter, and then we'd see Taylor Wilde return because she's been missing. But Taylor Wilde returned this week on Impact Wrestling, so I was 50-50, almost got it right. And that's pretty much the talking points of Summerversary. The other big talking points from this week. We found out this week that Kiera Hogan will be leaving us at the end of this set of tapings. So after next week's Impact Wrestling, Kiera Hogan will have officially left Impact Wrestling, which is quite a big shock. But she's been with the company for 4 years and has built herself up from someone who was nervous as hell to one of the most confident and most improved superstars ever to step foot in the ring in recent history. So I'd like to first to start off and say good luck to Kiera Hogan wherever she goes next. All fingers are pointing to AEW, obviously. But good luck to her regardless. She's done an absolute astounding job in the ring, and I've nothing but praise for her. Anything you want to add to that?
It'll be interesting where she goes. Because I mean, to leave Impact and then go to AEW is kind of a weird thing at this point, just because of their working relationship. So I don't know. Is it like a for sure? Like it's not like a work, right? It's like a legit.
It's legitimate.
It's a legitimate thing.
Yeah, she broke the news on her on one of her accounts online somewhere.
Okay.
And it came across that way. It's not been announced by Impact Wrestling, but Kiera Hogan hasn't confirmed it herself.
No,
I think I know you said all those put into AEW, but I feel like if she did go to AEW, it's because AEW needs her because their women's division at the moment. As much as we've got Britt Baker and Nyla Rose now, some really good talent there. I don't feel like the women's division's packed out enough there. So, that could be a good show to fill. Yeah. So it could be. And then on the flip side, I feel like NXT have got really, really good ladies. I mean, I know obviously they've just lost a few, so maybe that'll be a reason why they pop in for it.
That's a good way to fix that situation in NXT.
Yeah. Because, NXT have had a brilliant women's division for a while, where AEW, in my opinion, haven't really got a great women's division. They only really have one women's match per Dynamite, don't they?
There's a lot of women there that are just not being used, and it's a shame because Ali and Chris.
I feel like the women get their chance on the Elevation and what is it, Dark? That's the other one, the YouTube shows. That's where I think that's where the most of them get their play at. But as far as like the mainstream, what most people are watching on a weekly basis, it's a one match thing, and it's usually the same round of people. Like they plug one in, and then she's gone. A month later, it's the same thing. So it'd be helpful for them to get that women's division, up, because it definitely needs to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, another topping point is Chris Bay's been given the offer to join the Bullet Club by Jay White after Slammiversary, and it seems Chris Bay has accepted. And this leads on to they've got a match next week against the Good Brothers now. So thoughts and opinions on that? Have you guys seen Chris Bay wrestle before?
Yeah. I like Chris. It'll
Yeah.
be fun. I think it's him and Jay that are gonna be doing the tag team.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be fun. That'll be real fun.
Until Jay turns his back on him and joins up with the Good Brothers.
Oh no,
I'm not
Jay,
trying to.
yeah, Jay White's made it pretty clear that it's like he's got this new generation of the Bullet Club now, and the Good Brothers are capitalizing off of what he's created and what he's carried forward. And so it seems to be like the Elite versus the Bullet Club. It seems to be where all this is going now. So it's drifting away from Impact versus AEW. It's now going to New Japan versus Impact, or now more the Bullet Club versus the Elite. And it's just happens to be staged on Impact Wrestling because it's got guys on Impact Wrestling in the Bullet Club now. So it's a great way for Impact Wrestling to get more views in, basically by hosting like this massive international stable on their product.
See, I'm not sure whether it'll get so many views. You know what I mean? For myself, with the Bullet Club, it was something great a while back. But for me, you know, it's just kind of lost its, I don't know, how do you put it? Prestige is probably the right word to use.
Yeah, it's losing its charm. It's sort of like
you know, if you go back and name it, I mean, you know, if you look at some of the great factions in the past, you know, the what's it called, DX, NWO, oh God, I don't know why my mind's gone blank. Jimmy, Adam Cole.
Undisputed Era.
Undisputed Era. I don't know why that got stuck on me head then. You know, they've all had the one constant with the. Oh, I know the NWO got a bit crazy at one point as well, and you know they lost the same kind of prestige at that point. But you know, if you go back now and you say who's the NWO, they'll say Hogan, Hall, Nash, Bischoff. It is same with the X, same with the Undisputed Era. I just feel like the Bullet Club, they try and recycle it so many times, and it's like, all right, it's being done, leave it alone, let's move on and try something new.
It's kind of reaching the whole Four Horsemen thing, where it was like, come on now, Mongo McMichael is not a Four Horseman.
And Deonna Purrazzo did eventually agree to join Mickie James on NWA Empower for that Mickie James's pay-per-view. So that's now officially been confirmed, which is great news for Impact Wrestling, great news for Deonna Purrazzo, and great news for NWA.
Do we know when that? But do we know when that show is?
I think it's at the end, sometime at the it's either this month or it's in August. I'm not entirely sure when it is, but Deonna Purrazzo is on there now. I know there's some interest from a lot of AEW women on there as well, and Tasha Steelz has got interest in going there too. So we've got.
I feel like Deonna versus Britt is the main event you need. I feel like that's what they got to do.
Yeah, I know Britt Baker has called out Deonna Purrazzo several times already.
Yes, I feel like that's got to be the money match for it. Like that'll get people to tune in. Definitely,
it'll get me to tune in.
Yeah.
And any other big talking points? Just quickly skim through. We got Eddie Edwards and I mentioned Eddie Edwards and Morrissey's hardcore match, so I don't need to bring that up again. PC Williams and Trey Miguel, they now seem to be establishing themselves as a tag team on Impact Wrestling after their Ultimate X clash, and they've been recently seen working together, building up to the Ultimate X at Slammiversary. PC Williams is a pioneer of the X division, and he seems to be taking Trey Miguel under his wing to help give him some more wins and everything. But these two now seem to be really going for the tag titles after they won their match on BTI on Access TV. Pete Williams is on Twitter shooting out, "Give me the Good Brothers now." So do you guys think this could be a team that would work, or what are your thoughts on this?
I don't have too much on it.
The best thing is the best thing is this match is on YouTube. So if you go to Impact's channel, look for the most recent BTI, you'll be able to find it there. But I personally, I think it's an interesting decision to make. Kenny Omega this week on Impact Wrestling too. Now, could this be a tease for Omega versus the Walking Weapon?
It needs to happen.
Yeah.
That's been my pick.
Sorry. I think Kenny's got to start losing the belts now. I think, and he's probably a guy that can carry the company after Kenny's gone.
Yeah.
He's a believable threat to me. Like, I know Moose kind of came across that way, but it never really was believable to me. I know he looks the part, but it wasn't believable. I didn't have any belief in Sammy either. But Alexander is the guy. I think he's got a following, and that's growing. People realize how good he is, and he can really, I think, embrace the role of taking down Omega and being the Impact savior. I think that's the way to go. That's me, but yeah.
Yeah, so how do you want to see him just go straight for the title, or do you want to see him do what past X Division stars have done and do the Austin Aries and cash in option C and go that route? Personally, I think Josh Alexander, with or without this belt, is main event material now. So if he loses the X Division title next week, he can go straight to Kenny Omega regardless.
Yeah.
No, why not have him with both?
Yeah, that's the other thing I'm thinking. Bobby Lashley did it. So, and Josh Alexander is another guy who's believable enough to do it.
Yeah, he could just play on the belt collector things, and maybe I want to start collecting belts too. And you got one that means the most to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's plenty of little simple stories I could tell with it. But yeah, that's who I want to do it. That's who I thought was going to do it, and I'm glad they're at least teasing it to this point so we can get to it.
Okay, and one final talking point is next week we have got Moose versus Chris Sabin round 2. The Moose was pretty pissed off that he lost his match at Slammiversary, as you'd expect, and rather than kick Scott D'Amore's door down, Chris Sabin just said to him, "If you want a match, I'll give you another match." Fair enough. So who do you think is going to come out on top? Do you think Moose is going to win, or do you think Sabin's going to pull off the upset again?
I think if Sabin can pull off the upset again, I think you have something going with Moose. Just make him an angry, just person that starts destroying things. I think that's a way you can go with it. For Sabin to just I'll give you a rematch, man, no problem. That's personally how I would book it. But again, I'm not a booker. Whatever they do with it, I'm sure they know what they're doing. So, but yeah, I would go with Sabin again. Really get Moose fired up.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Andy? Have you got any?
I think the same. He loses again, but give him kind of a daft win, like a roll up or something like that, and then Sabin hightails it out there, and then Moose just goes around and smashes everything up, like kicks off, throws and wobbling, and then maybe have him grab Sabin after it or somebody else, maybe a referee, and just destroy them, and then we're off to the races, aren't we?
Yeah, then that'll set up for like a third match then, possibly at Homecoming.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's building to Homecoming or it's building to Bound for Glory in the long run. I think it might lead to Sabin and Moose at Homecoming, thinking about it now, especially talking about Josh Alexander and Kenny Omega. But I think I think the best way to go would be to give Sabin the win again. Like you guys said, make Moose angry, and because every time we've had Moose as angry at the moment, it's been thigh slapping, stumpy feet. We want to see this really pissed off badass like we saw when he
unleash a monster.
We had that when he was taking on Rich Swann. Let's get that monster up another level before he goes back to Kenny Omega. Okay, and that's all the talking points on Impact Wrestling out the way. So those who aren't a fan of Impact Wrestling, you can breathe a sigh of relief and put your headphones back on. Or we'll now move on to the WWE, and we'll start off with Raw. Any news on Raw?
The most obvious one is the Karrion Kross stuff.
I heard he lost to Jeff Hardy.
With him losing his debut to Jeff Hardy in 1 minute and 40 seconds, I believe.
Christ.
It's really pissing people off.
Yeah, me
Wow.
one
I
included.
didn't think they did that to it.
My opinion on it is I like to wait and see things out. My gut reaction was obviously like, what the? That's the NXT. That's the monster in NXT. He's your champ, and he just lost to Jeff Hardy, who's been a jobber this year. But as some have pointed out, Jeff did cheat, even though that's a cheap cop out to point out that Jeff had to cheat to win. I'll think about that. And there's no Scarlet. I would hate to think they're not gonna put him with Scarlet eventually. It just doesn't make sense not to. So that could play into her coming in and being with him. I'm just trying to look at it as not being like, damn it, and just be like, what are they gonna do with this? Because I think Karrion Kross, he's got too many of the things that Vince likes to think that Vince is just gonna shit all over him.
I heard that Vince was annoyed with NXT for not beating AEW. Obviously it's probably a nonsense, and that's why he's squashing their stars. And it's like, okay, but when they put so much money into someone, why would they do this? But I was sat there for a long time after that one, after watching it. And it's finished Raw, and I couldn't get out my head, and I was trying to think of ways and means that it made sense to me, or how you could turn it round or something. And then I was kind of sitting there excited to watch NXT for that reason. I was thinking maybe we'll find out more, maybe something will happen on the back of this, and we didn't. And when I seen him on NXT and he was going on, all I kept thinking in my head is, no matter what you say, you got beat by Jeff Hardy the other night. So it's just like, and it just kind of took that whole mystique and the threat. And you're going on about threats before, Jimmy, where you don't feel like someone's a threat. And I just feel like I don't get why they would do this and why they've done it, because it takes away that whole feeling of him being a threat now for me.
Yeah, with him being on both shows, that's the biggest problem. Is because, like you said, a lot of people tune in and they can't look at him the same as they did, say, last week before all this happened. So I've never been a fan of them bringing up talent and then having him on NXT and Raw or SmackDown at the same time. I think it because things like this happen. And whereas I think NXT did a good job of kind of like leaving him off the show and ending the way they did, so that he comes across as like, well, he's still a monster if you can look past what happened on Raw. And that's what I try to do, because they're just two different things.
Yeah, hopefully you'll get past it eventually.
And then seeing what happens on the next Raw, that's where I think I'll start making my judgments on it.
I've got one question for you.
Yeah.
One question. How long do you think it'll be before they change his name to Karrion or just Cross?
No, I don't think so.
No, I think he'll leave if they do that.
But if he doesn't show up on Raw, like the next Raw, then they did him dirty. If he comes in and he gets embarrassed again, then it's like, okay, seriously, guys, you need to. But I mean, he could show up and do something that completely changes the perspective of him for the new people, and they're off to the races with whatever they're doing with him.
Yeah, I think your first.
I'm just doing the wait and see.
Yeah, I think the thing is Scarlett's got to be there with him, and the entrance has got to be there. Because without that, when I was watching that match before the results or anything that had happened, as soon as I seen the entrance and stuff, I was already kind of annoyed. It got me, it rubbed me up the wrong way before we'd even seen any action. And I think, my thing is, why have them and build them up in NXT like that? Just slap them down on the main roster. And I know we've had successes on the main roster, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, okay, if you don't think they're ready, don't bring them up. At the end of the day, if you were a professional football team or, a soccer, an ice hockey team, whatever you want to say, is you wouldn't bring somebody up from your developmental team and put them in the team if you know that they couldn't do what you need them to do, or, be part of what you need them. And I just feel like sometimes WWE just bring them up for the sake of it and then just leave them floating around the main roster. And it's like, why are you in such a rush? if they're doing well there, and let's face it, NXT must make money because they've got their own TV deal, they've got fans coming in, all the rest of it, you know, takeovers always sell out and stuff, so they must be doing all right money-wise. So at the same time, you know, why are you in such a rush to pull them out and put them into there? Leave them be.
And put them in something that's garbage, I think they've done good with the recent call-ups they've had. I think the recent ones have had a lot more success than, you know, previous 2 years or whatever like that, which is why it makes it all the more confusing to me to see Karrion Kross lose to Jeff Hardy in a minute and 40 seconds. But again, I'm trying not to have the emotional reaction and just be like, okay, let's see.
I'll give you the show. I'll tell you what, I'm going to call it now. Within the next year or so, Matt Riddle's challenging for the title because they don't sprinkle Cena dust on anyone for nothing.
Matt Riddle's winning the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, because I know I know it was only a little bit of a crossover segment, but WWE don't waste anything like that on nobody. So and he was part of that NXT. Yeah, and he was part of that NXT call-up, which is why I've mentioned him, you know, because he's done really well in the main roster, hasn't he?
Yes.
Okay, what else on Raw are we looking at?
What was that?
What else on Raw are we?
The Nikki Ash cashing in the briefcase. Nikki ASH, I'm sorry. I loved it. I know a lot of people hate the gimmick, but it's one of those things where I understand because I watch with kids that there's an audience that isn't just for my age and the older people and the 20-year-olds, and I know there's kids and the kids love it. It's a gimmick that she loves and she's obviously putting a lot into. I think that's important. You definitely want your superstar to be invested. When she won Money in the Bank briefcase, I thought it was pretty shocking because I thought they were doing well with building her up and it wasn't gonna be something that she necessarily needed to get to where she's at there. But giving it to her and then having her cash in that next night was pretty. I thought it was shocking. I wasn't expecting it at all. And it was a great way to end the show because nobody wanted to see Charlotte as champion.
No, and I think you've got a lot of potential there with it as well. So, like, you know, further down the road, you've got the superhero. She's all very good and all like that, and then she snaps and goes back to the crazy Nikki Cross that we've seen before, but still retains the title. You know what I mean? So, there's a lot of stories you could do with that. You know, obviously it's the wholesome superhero or almost the superhero, as they're saying at the moment. But there's a lot of stories you could do with it. Good stories, and as you say, directed towards more of the kids, where she becomes from almost a superhero to a superhero, and you know all the rest of that thing. But then also, as you say, you can go a bit dark on the other side of it and have a snap, and you know, go back to the crazy Nikki again.
The one I'm looking forward to is when hopefully we get there with Nikki ASH when she goes, or when Alexa goes after her. So you can get the superhero trying to save her friend from the evil. It's superhero. It's comic book stuff, and it writes itself. They just have to allow it to happen. And I think that would make for some really fun and interesting TV that I feel like multiple audiences can enjoy it.
It's going to have some good storytelling and character development, and that's something that's missing from WWE at the moment. This is coming from an outsider looking in. You know, I've not watched WWE for a while, but I've keep track of the highlights and all the news and that, and I know that creativity is at a quite dissatisfying amongst the audience. So to see her given this creative freedom to actually go forward with this character, you know, and they got Viper is Dewdropper sidekick now. You know, they've got these two coming for, and now she's got the title. You know, to just give them that creative freedom, and like you guys just said now, the amount of things they can do with this character now, and the matches they can build, and the rivalries and the story for fans outside the age group of the 30s, 40s, 20s. You know, but because WWE is a universal company, it's not set to one target age range.
And the one thing I like,
Yeah, I try to explain that to so many people because they're just, this isn't for me. This isn't for me. Well, there are certain things that are for you. I mean, if like you just have to really play into the things you like, and I feel like if you do that,
Take
you
everything
notice
else
that
with a bit of
there
salt.
is a little bit. The things are a little bit better than they appear, but when you're constantly focusing in on I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, then you really miss out on other things that are happening.
Yeah.
Raw was in. It was bad for a while. I'm not gonna. I apologize for it a lot, but yeah, it was pretty bad. I think since since after Hell in a Cell, I think they've turned the corner quite a bit, and they've started focusing on working towards things as opposed to just throwing things together and letting it just this is filler. This is filler.
It seems like stuff's building, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
And I think quite like what you say there, Jimmy. I feel like it is universal and it's for every different person. And I think if anything, WWE recently have been a little bit more risque in certain parts. Some of the other part, the other side of it. So if you've got that fine balance, as they seem to be, I'd say Monday Night Raw this week for me was really, really good. I thought the whole balance of the show was really good. I thought you had all the superhero Nikki stuff, great. Obviously you'd have the other stuff as well, Riddle with the comedy and whatnot. And then you had the seriousness with Lashley and Goldberg. And I thought that spot was really, really good. Now, for me, I'm not a fan of Bill Goldberg. Don't like him. Don't want to see him. Not interested. But I thought that, all right, he's got a contract that he's got to fulfill. And I feel like this will be the last ones that we see of him. So why not enjoy him while he's here? Because when he's gone, no doubt everybody will probably be like, oh, we want to see Goldberg.
You'll see him again at WrestleMania.
Yeah. So I like the way that they kind of had the match first and then he come out, because I expected when Lashley come down for the open challenge and all that palaver, that's when I expected to see Goldberg. And when it didn't, I was like, okay, maybe someone's got this wrong. And then when we did see him, I kind of go, so I thought it was well done. And it plays back into the fact of what you're saying about the creative is starting to slowly but surely turn it around. Now, we don't like Goldberg, but what's that saying? You can't polish the tape, but you can throw glitter on it. So if at the end of the day, if they turn it like that, then, good on them.
My only issue with the Goldberg thing is that we're using him for SummerSlam. I like it when these, particularly Goldberg, like at Royal Rumble, when he was thrown against Drew, I think it's perfect because you're building up for a main event scene on that show. So to have throwaway matches like that, which is what I look at it as, it's just used to give Drew another, notch on his belt. But I took out Goldberg. And it doesn't take away from anything or anybody because, again,
do you not think that could be done with the same with Bobby, though?
Not at SummerSlam. I think SummerSlam it's a big four. I mean, it's arguably the second biggest of the year. I think these shows are supposed to be used to kind of like showcase what you have and what you're building with. And that's where I think Bill Goldberg, I don't like him being used.
But
like if it was at Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell, I would have been much more preferred.
But do you not think with them having Cena back at this one, and looks like the Arcade Bro story will probably culminate in that one as well? Do you not feel like by affecting in this specific?
But I've just never been a fan of the part-timers taking away from the big shows because these are the ones that the mainstream people, the people who don't really watch it all the time, they're going to tune in for this part of the year because it's SummerSlam season. And I know Goldberg brings eyes to that, but to put him in the title picture is kind of, I guess, deceiving. And I guess maybe that's what they want. But I've never been a fan of it being used on the big shows.
No,
WrestleMania, WrestleMania, I understand because it's such a huge spectacle. But
WrestleMania.
Don't forget though, this year's SummerSlam is going to be different because it's a stadium show. It's a big, so maybe that's the reason of thinking is you might feel day as well, and they've got to finish before the Pacquiao Errol Spence card starts. Is it Errol Spence? I think it is. But they've got to start before the boxing's on. So it kind of, as I say, and also, you know, let's face it, you've got Cena on there against Roman, massive match. You're going to have Edge versus Rollins, another massive match. You're probably going to have RK Bro winning the title. So, you know, there's too much there to kind of, okay, well, Bobby, it gives Bobby credibility. He gets a quick win over Goldberg, and then we move on. But it keeps him on the show, right? Because we've had shows before today where the champion hasn't even been on them.
Yeah.
So
well, Lesnar.
Yeah, it keeps him on there. It keeps him relevant, and it could set him up for something like a Lesnar to return, or I don't know, maybe a CM Punk. We don't know where that's up to.
If I was to do something different, I would have possibly saved Keith Lee's in-ring return for SummerSlam. Have him return. I mean, people like him. People want to see him. Wonder where he's been. He could have returned Monday. They could have built on it, and they could have went to SummerSlam. And then there you go. You have a guy that potentially could be leading your company in the next 2-3 years in a main event attraction match, as opposed to just Goldberg, who you're not going to see again until probably February.
Yeah.
If ever again, you never know. So,
but
I do get the idea that this is probably the WrestleMania this year. So that makes more sense.
With all the fans finally starting to come back in attendance, it does seem to be. So let's make do of what we can. Let's make do of what we can do now, because we're now 5 months off to Christmas now. So it is get together what we can to really kick some ass next year for all the companies in the business. So whatever they're doing at the moment, I have full respect for their decisions and that. This is to the wrestlers, this is to the guys out back and everything. Yeah, I might shit on them and that and joke about it and all that stuff, but from a personal perspective, I've got full respect for everybody and what they're doing. So good. I just wish them all the best of luck. Is there anything else from Raw you guys want to touch on, or if not, we'll go on to NXT?
I mean, I feel like the Big E return was kind of a nice surprise. I hated that it had to be a return against the champ and then to take a loss. It kind of doesn't make that much sense. If they're going to build upon it, or if they just brought him out because he's the hometown kid. I don't know.
Could you see that match at SummerSlam being turned into a triple threat?
No. If Keith would have put up more of a fight, or had he lost off of some kind of nonsense, possibly. But with him just taking a clean loss, I don't think so. I think that was more of it really just feels like they got him out there to get a pop from the hometown crowd, and then he's going to be put on the back burner again.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Goldberg's return.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's about it for Raw then, isn't it?
Okay, we'll jump on to NXT. Talking points for NXT, guys.
The Cross thing, I think, after him being embarrassed on Raw, I personally think they did a good job of kind of building a mystique around him. Like, where is he? What's he doing? What's going on? Kind of like build the anticipation up to where when we finally did see him, we had a full-blown, like, ready to kill him Samoa Joe. Just come on, I want to see you. Where you at? And then you just see Karrion Kross saying, I do what I want. I do when I want. And there's nothing you could do about it. And then to leave the thunderstorm in the background was such a nice touch, probably not even intended. I'm sure it just so happened to happen. But it looked cool.
It was piped in because I heard that people were screaming Jeff Hardy's name when the promo was going
on. I think that was at the taping. I don't know if that was at the regular show. But it could have been, though, if that was the case. But I think that the way they handled it on NXT was as good as they could have done. To not put him out there in front of the crowd was a smart move. And to make him look like someone who's just going to do what he wants, and to leave William Regal Lane. I think a lot of that, how it worked, is credited to how Samoa Joe was reacting and his just intensity that he was showing.
So it was just brilliant promo, isn't he?
It just really makes me want to see Samoa Joe kill Karrion Kross when they fight, when they meet. Like that I think it was done brilliantly. And that was.
What did you think of Kyle O'Reilly versus Austin Theory?
I love it. I'm an awesome mark. I think what MJF is in AEW as a heel, I think Austin Theory has that to be a face, to be like the future, to like really take over in the next 5 years. Whether they allow it to happen, whether he gets there with whatever they put up in front of him, we'll see. But I really like Austin Theory. I think he showed a lot against Kyle O'Reilly. I'm glad they've given him an opportunity the last few weeks to get in the ring and not just cheerlead Johnny Gargano on the ring, on the side of the ring. It did feel like that was probably the last match we'll see from him on NXT. But to go out in that match was good.
Yeah, he did a talk match last week on SmackDown with Harry Smith. Davey Bulldog Smith Jr. So, maybe that's something that they're looking at for the main roster.
Yeah, because, I mean, he left the way, so, like, he walked out on him. So it just makes it seem like that's what's going with him. And I'm not mad at that. I think introducing people with tag teams is kind of a smart thing sometimes, especially young guys. It allows some of that pressure to be taken off of them. So, yeah. What else? We have
Diamond Man.
Hold on. NXT.
See, the Diamond Man, I'm not really liking them at the moment.
It seems pretty stale. It seems to be kind of taking on the Roderick Strong trait, where it's just like, I know they're good, but are they really interesting? I think Malcolm Viven needs more mic time. Let that man entertain people. Get us invested in Diamond instead of just throwing them in a tag team match to lose. Like, it's weird, but
I'm for Frankie Monet as well. I feel like it's time to unleash it a little bit more than what they are doing. Too many squash matches or little just
it's weird.
All this
weird. Now. It'd be I almost feel like it'd be a waste of Frankie if her first real thing is gonna be with Mandy Rose. And that's not a knock at Mandy Rose. I just don't think she's on that same caliber as Frankie Monet. So it's kind of a strange what they're doing with it, but
what did you think out of this the breakout tournament? I don't know, we had a match on that. Was it Jones versus Archer?
Odyssey stood out. I still think what was his name? The Australian guy from last week. I can't remember his name.
Do you know what? I seen him on Twitter this morning.
Duke Hudson. Yeah, Duke Hudson. Yes, I think he's the guy that's breaking out. He just has that it factor about him. When I see him, he carries himself.
He's a WWE man-made guy, isn't he? You know what I mean? I think if he could chisel him out, then
isn't Odyssey a guy too that they've built up within, or is he from? Yeah. Okay, both of them look good. Both of them look good, and they have a presence to them. So
and then we had LA Knight versus Superstar Spud.
Drake Maverick.
That's the one.
It's my favorite thing in wrestling right now. The whole LA Knight Cameron Grimes thing. I think they're doing a masterful job with it. When they played the vignettes last week, I was worried they were gonna burn it out real quick because they had 4 of them, and I was like, it's funny, but please don't do this every week. And then to switch it up this week and have it be a backstage and then ringside heat that he's getting, I think was great. Drake Maverick was a perfect opponent to put in this position. Just the small guy getting beat up and then Cameron being forced to do the punishment too. I think it's just brilliant. I think the pop Grimes is gonna get when he finally gets his is just gonna be so massive, and it's gonna turn him into the guy on NXT.
Agreed. And then we had Raquel Gonzalez versus Xia Li. Really good match. Xia got injured, so
was she really injured?
Yeah,
I read somewhere where
she's going to be out for. But
oh, okay. I read somewhere where they said she seemed fine. I didn't hear anything else about it, but it definitely looked like she got injured.
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that she was injured. It didn't really give an estimated time that she'd be out for. But I suppose it's one of them things that you wouldn't know straight away. They're going to have to do a few tests and whatnot, aren't they? So, but solid match between them two, as you know.
Yeah,
as you'd expect. I'd like now to see Raquel go on to face Candice LeRae, maybe.
I had no real. I know that the Dakota Kai thing has been coming. They've started the brewing of it. But
I just don't think just yet.
I agree. I wanted to see Zoe Stark be the one that stepped up, because I think Zoe Stark. I think she's awesome. I hate that they put the tag titles on her, because it's just you're taking away one of your better talents in that division.
Yeah. Do you know what it is with Candice? I just love to see her have that final match and then move up. I feel like she's been one of the mainstays and she should get that chance now. You know, where we said about people rushing people too much, I feel like she's the opposite, where they haven't moved her enough.
It's always that one that goes too fast and one that doesn't, that should be there and isn't being pushed. You know, I'm hoping, listening to what you guys are saying, I'm hoping they don't push Frankie Monet up too quickly. You know, because she seems to be getting a really slow build at the moment as it is now.
Yeah. I feel like they're going a very slow route with her.
Yeah,
I think she's had 3 squash matches now.
Yeah. She just walks around with a dog.
It's not setting up the high standard we saw from Taya Valkyrie, you know, in Impact Wrestling. So it's disappointing to hear that this is how it's going for us so far. I know one or two squash matches, that's just standard. But if it's now like 3 weeks in a row, and she had to have a real challenge, it's frustrating for me to hear that now. You know,
I'm honestly surprised she wasn't one of the call-ups, because I mean she's clearly ready for the big stage. So it was kind of surprising that it wasn't her. Yeah. So that might mean they have something in store for. We'll have to see.
I hope so.
The last one, sorry, that we did miss out was Hitro versus Legado del Fantasma.
I'm mad we didn't get our mariachi concert. They promised a mariachi concert, and then he said, no, we don't deserve it. It'll be a fun match. How long they drag this out will be interesting, because I mean they have War Games in a few months.
My favorite pay-per-view of the year.
Yeah, so I think it would have been kind of cool if they with Escobar, and they could have had a 3-man, 1-woman War Games match. I think that could have been it's something different, something new. I think it could have been an interesting thing to do, but I think it's too far out to really go that route, because by then this whole thing would be played out, and it's not even interesting at that point. But it'll be. I think Escobar needs gold. Fantastic in the ring, but I think his character works better with a title. So having him chase the title makes sense. I just don't think you take it off of Swerve just because he just got it. And Hit Row is one of the most popular things right now.
I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks now, because I just feel like that's when we're going to start getting our takeover builds. You know, like the likes of Raquel at the moment, you know, unless they do the Dakota stuff, I don't know who she's going to face to take over, because there's, obviously I know they're hitting the Dakota, but it hasn't really been set in motion yet. And then as for Carrion, obviously we know he's going to go with Joe, so that's fine. But then everywhere else, it's kind of, I don't know whether we're going to get the Adam Cole. He'll get involved in that match, or where he's going to go to on that card. I don't really want to see him going against Riley again.
I think you're going to see it anyway.
Yeah, maybe.
I would like it to have a meaning, though. I wouldn't like it just to be another match. I don't want it to be just another no DQ type match. I want it to actually have something with it that makes me feel like, okay, these guys do really still hate each other, and they're fighting for something, not just I don't like this guy anymore. Yeah, I want it because I'm almost positive we're getting that match again. It just makes sense, the trilogy. But
you
again,
need that rubber match, but you want a stipulation for it now and a reason to.
And I feel like wasting that first match the way they did as a non-sanctioned, and then going regular match, a second match was kind of backwards booking. So they have to do something to make it. We'll watch it. It's Adam Cole. It's Kyle O'Reilly. We know it's going to be a good match. Yeah. But I want to be invested in it, because at this point I don't feel like I would unless there was something to go with it.
And that's the problem, isn't it? Sometimes it's like, it's all right. We know it's Adam Cole and Riley, but at the same time, it's like, make me interested in it. What are the stakes here? And that's where sometimes I think WWE as a whole get lost in, in the storytelling. Is sometimes there's not enough at stake for me.
It's literally, they hate each other, so that's why they're fighting each other. But how many times can you fight each other?
Do you know what one of my pet hates is when they're backstage and they walk up and it's like little disagreement. Okay, let's go settle it in the ring then. It's like, come on, just lazy writing.
Yeah.
I like that more than when they take that and then turn it into something for 3 months. Like, I'm okay with like the one-off thing in that scenario. I get it's lazy, but I can look past that. Just, it can't be that, and then it leads to something like, oh, we've been fighting for 2 straight months, and now we're gonna really go at it again next month. No, don't do that. But that almost seems like what they did with that last match. They just let's just throw them in a match together. Because,
well, that's all of NXT, I take it, yeah?
Okay, then we'll jump on to Wednesday night. So we'll go on to AEW, and any news and talking points from AEW?
Yeah, major talking points to where do we begin? So, obviously, the first match we had was Chris Jericho versus Shawn Spears. Great match, bopping about and stuff like that, but the real turning point for it obviously was after when MJF come out and announced that Jericho is going to be in a death match with Mr. Nick freaking Cage, which was absolutely, now this is what you talk about blindsiding and something you would never expect to see. Brilliant booking, I thought, was right from the side. A lot of people, I think, yourself, Joe, you said before about you didn't really, the leader of the Bullet Club when you were kind of, well, what's this? And, there's probably people out there that don't know who Nick Cage are. But the way they done it and stuff is like, they will know who he is.
Jericho sold that very well.
Yeah, very, very
he
well.
Legit looks scared for his life. And I think that really helped sell that whole segment.
Yeah. And I don't feel like we're going to get a half death match. I think we're going to get really, really high, because I feel from Jericho, he needs it. I think he's never recovered in the macho stakes from the old lunge to the pillow, has he? You know what
I mean? I did enjoy the match. I thought it was good. The one part of it that just made me cringe was when Sean hit him with the chair against the turnbuckle on that bad arm, and then 2 minutes later Jericho's over there just throwing punches and just I feel like if he's gonna wear that thing and he's gonna sell it for other things, he's really got to sell hard for something like that.
Yeah.
That kind of took me away for a second, but
Yeah.
the Nick Gage thing popped me. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
We're gonna see that man on cable TV. Like, no, that's nuts.
Yeah, and I think it's brilliant. And then after that one, you know, it kept on getting better for me. I thought the show as a whole was just brilliant. We have Frankie Kazarian versus Doc Gallows. Obviously, I would have liked this match to have gone a bit further than it did before Anderson jumped in. But then the promos that followed it, and you know, was really, really good. I just want to state one.
Yeah.
I don't keep laughing here, but my thing here, and it was an absolute corker, was Don Callis. What was it? Just let me get this up here because I've got it written down on my notes from AEW because actually I've done an article on it. So where is it? Oh yeah, it is. I know you cowboys aren't very bright, and there's 4 of us and only 1 of you. So are you stupid or that drunk? I just thought that was a brilliant line by Don Callis.
He is on fire when it comes to promos. Don Callis is a genius. He's going to do a lot of good for New Japan and AEW now. He's gone from Impact Wrestling.
And I think like the way they're doing this,
he's really helped Omega stay. Yeah. I think the Callis thing, like things like that, have been what has helped Kenny kind of stay. Not entertaining. Because his promo work is not what it needs to be, in my opinion. So the Callis pairing was brilliant, and it's things like that line you just point out, stuff like that is really what.
And I think, like, you know, it's as much as I'm not going to compare the 2 of them, I feel like his role is a bit similar to Heyman's role with Brock.
Yeah, absolutely.
As in the fact is, you know, he's a mouthpiece, he's there for him. I'm not saying that Callis is on the level of Heyman because I don't believe he is, but
no,
it's still a necessity with Kenny.
It's the role is the same. It's the same role. You know, Kenny
he's playing the part very well.
Yeah. Omega doesn't give the best promos, and
no,
it's a shame. It's a shame because he's got the look and he's got the ability. He just doesn't have the. But because if he didn't, Omega would be the more complete athlete. But to me, Jericho is the complete athlete. If you want to talk about the complete Canadian athlete.
Yeah, but was Jericho like that? I mean, saying that though, I was going to say, was Jericho like that in Omega's but let's face it, he wasn't he? He's being a complete since he was in his early WCW.
Jericho was the second best thing on Nitro with his promos and stuff. Yeah, he's had it.
The list of Jericho with the list of 1,000 holds to Dean Malenko. You know,
armbar.
Brilliant. And as I say, I love the way that they're building towards this Page and Omega match. I don't feel like they're rushing it. I feel like it's the one thing I love about AEW at the moment. And I am a big WWE fan, so I'm not kind of all AEW and against that. You know, I love the fact that both companies do well. The more both of them do well, the better it all ends up for us fans. But one thing I love with AEW at the moment is they seem to build a feud very well without doing stupid things. And also, they don't have to have multiple of the same matches. So, you know, like this one here where Kenny comes out and then brings out Adam Page, and you kind of, you know, they're using the factions quite well to kind of build the matches, but keep them 2 apart. None of this stupid WWE style of, let's throw them in a tag team and see how they coexist. You know, it's you know, they're building a match without putting the 2 of them together. They're not even facing each other in a tag match or whatever at this present moment because it doesn't need to be yet. And they're just building it very, very slowly, but very nicely. And it's brilliant storytelling. And it's making me want to see Page versus Omega, which is the end result, isn't it?
I know a lot of people have noticed it. I just want to verbally do it. I want to give Hangman the kudos for how he's told the story without telling the story. Like just these little facial expressions and the little things he does during matches tells you the story. And it's
Mm.
if you're not paying that much attention to it, you miss it, and you're just like, oh, okay. But the job he's done is pretty incredible, and
I
yeah,
just think,
I'm
as I say,
looking forward to it.
Yeah, as a whole, I just think the company, I mean, you know, back before the pinnacle begun, and MGF come out on that point, and he pointed stuff out that he'd said 4 or 5 weeks ago, or little things that he'd done a couple of weeks ago and stuff. And it's just the little things that they plant in these storylines, and you know, it keeps you so interested, because when it all comes together, like the MGF one, I didn't see all that coming, but you know, I knew there was something going to go on, but the way that it turns out. And then when he pointed that out, it had me going back and watching, going, oh yeah, but look at this here, and he's done this little bit here. It's so good storytelling at the moment. It's just, they are really, really good at it.
I agree with their building. I think they built far better than what WWE has been able to do. I don't like to do the comparing thing, but if we're talking about like how they build, it is fantastic how they build up their shows, and it makes you want to watch them.
That's it, and it's not saying that WWE is bad. At the end of the day, WWE's production is so much better than AEW's, especially the cameramen and everything else. So, you know, it's apples. What I've noticed
is, like AEW is brilliant at their building. I feel like their big events tend to just kind of feel like another show, though. Whereas WWE has been bad at building their shows, but those big shows usually deliver in a pretty big way. So it's like, one has this, one has the other, and if they could ever just embody both, you'd have two like just fantastic companies, and but
that's it.
Hopefully, AEW has. I feel like they're on like a huge momentum wave right now, and I think with the fans, they're really going to be able to ride that wave and start delivering in a bigger way.
And one thing that I just want to make sure before we move on to the next match is that I'm just going to point out to you, any fans out there that are going on about a Monday Night War and all this stuff, it's not going to happen, and nobody's going to beat anybody, because the two different products at the moment, AEW going down their way, WWE are a mega machine, so they're never going to go anywhere. And also, at the end of the day, why can't they both coexist? You know, Coke and Pepsi both live in the same world. So, you know, why not?
I like the fact they're on different nights, and I like the fact that I really have I don't expect, you know, 3 years down the road, AEW, but let's go ahead and try and go head to head with them. I don't see them going that way, because there's no need for it. And honestly, when both are doing good, that's better for the whole industry. So
that's it, isn't it? And as I say, when you've only got one pay-per-view a month, or WWE, you've only got one pay-per-view a month, there's no need to put head-to-head. Just go different line. Take a different line. And as I say, you know, at the end of the day, when you've got Coke and Pepsi, one's red, one's blue, one tastes a bit different than the other, but they both coexist in the same industry, don't they? So, and they're both multi-billion-pound bloody companies. So, at the end of the day, why not? It's all it's doing is it giving us fans more options, and you know, better product, if you want to call it that. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to rest on each other's laurels.
I feel like there's more wrestling at our fingertips than ever before, and it's just growing. So, and that's because of what's going on. So,
and I'm just like,
why you wouldn't want it to be just better all around? It's crazy. So,
it's something that Matt Hardy has described. It's like a tribal mentality of fans is some of the things that is killing the business a bit too much.
And it's the worst when it comes to wrestling.
Al Snow has said it as well in the past, that, you know, people they stick to one company so much rather than broaden their perspective onto others, and it just sort of takes everything away from everybody if people don't broaden their horizon as much as they should do. And I know people who know me saying, "Oh, that's hypocritical. You're only watching Impact Wrestling at the moment." I watched AEW, and I watched it right up until April last year. And the only reason why I had to stop was because of medical issues, which took me into hospital for 4 months. So I missed a huge chunk of wrestling, and AEW's been on. I've been intending to get back onto, and look, I'm keeping tabs of where everything's going with it now. Especially guys like Brian Cage, seeing where he's going now. He's broken away from Taz. He's now finally gone on his own path. That's something that's got me interested. Seeing Adam Page, he's someone who really caught my attention when I started watching, and I thought he was going to be the first guy to hold the belt instead of Chris Jericho.
Do you know I seen a really interesting fact of Adam Page the other day? Do you know the first AEW match was Page versus Pac, wasn't it?
Yes.
Right. Where did that take place?
I think it's a place in Florida. Oh no, that took place in
Chicago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or Las Vegas.
No, Nottingham, England. So
Yes.
Pac couldn't make it over to make the match happen. So they had to fly Page over, and they actually done the match and filmed it on an indie show in the UK.
Yeah. That's devotion right there. That just shows that Adam Page there is someone who I think he's definitely going to be champion by the end of the year. I think he's going to be the guy to take the belt from Kenny Omega. And
yeah, so the first ever AEW Dynamite match took place in the UK.
Yeah.
It's one of them things for us. It's a small win, but it's all we've got, Jimmy. That's all we've got. Okay, so the next match we move on to is Wheeler Yuta versus Darby Allin. Yuta was with Orange Cassidy and Sting was with Allin, as always. Good match, in my opinion, for a few bits of to and fro's. I like Yuta and I really like Allin. I don't really know where Allen's going to go at the moment. One of the things that I will mention is Sting and Orange Cassidy trading the lazy kicks, which I thought was dead funny. Was just a meme waiting to happen, isn't it? You know. So, what's your thoughts on it?
I'm with you. I don't really know where they're going with Darby, which is kind of a bummer because when he first came, my first introduction to Darby Allin, I wasn't a fan. He just looked like a guy that was just trying to kill himself. But he's won me over. I think he's been booked brilliantly, and now it just seems like there's no direction for him, and I think that sucks. Just because of how important I think he is. The match was good. I just don't feel like it was just kind of like a filler match to me.
It's like Sting's taking all the attention away from Darby Allin.
Yeah. That segment takes away from the match too, so it lets me know that they feel the same way. Yeah. If they're doing something like that this isn't really anything important. It's just kind of
but you feel like because he was so prominent for quite a while, that it's time to kind of do this little bit where they don't take him away, they just keep him floating over, and then kind of you can pop him up again, or do you think it'd be best to take him away altogether and then bring him back?
I think if they were gonna bring him back take him back a little bit, I think having him lose to Ethan Page would have been the way to go. Put him in the coffin, send him away, and then he's gone for a little bit. Then when he comes back, he's refreshed and he can climb that mountain again, and that makes sense. But for him to just be on that constant, like I won, and now you're facing this. It's no disrespect to the other guy, but it's a pointless match.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is with AEW though is they do use match wins and ratings, don't they? So you don't know. It might be all a ploy just to kind of keep him going along, keep him getting wins, building up that win record, and then next minute, he's won X amount in a row, whatever. He should be going towards the title now.
Yeah. He's who I think should have been the one, because I know the whole story with Page and Omega is a big deal and it's fantastic and all that. I just felt like for what Darby was able to do during the pandemic era, I feel like he lost no momentum. I feel like he actually built himself up, and until that first live show, I thought he was probably the most over. Yeah. The pop Page got when he came out proved me wrong. I'll admit it. But I just think Darby is at a level now where I think you ride, like what AEW as a whole is doing, they have that momentum, you ride that wave. I think they should have done the same with Darby. But maybe they just don't have nothing for him because of other things they're doing. So I'm just hoping he doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how he goes on. Okay, so after that match, the Blade struck down and cracked Orange Cassidy with a brass knucks. Obviously set up a match later on for them, which, you know, it is what it is. It sets up the match. It does the job it needs to do. Makes the match mean something, I suppose. So, yeah, good stuff. Okay, and then we moved on to Dr. Baker, DMD. I like to say her full name because I think she's awesome. Versus Nyla Rose. Me personally, love Baker. The fact that she won this match, brilliant. I don't think Nyla needs the belt at the moment. I feel like Baker's making the belt relevant. You know, I think Rose will get the belt eventually. Yeah, I do. Obviously, AEW are not going to spend out that money on it unless they're going to, you know, build it towards the belt and put the belt on it eventually. But at the moment, I feel like Britt's making it kind of difficult for them to take the belt off her because she's doing so well with it. And she's basically leading the women's division. She's great promo and great psychology in the ring. I really, really like her. So,
I think of all the people that aren't Jericho and John Moxley, I think she's been the best at adapting to the TV show. How she works the camera angles and how she just demands the screen, I think it's amazing how she was able to just turn it on like that. The match was what it was. I thought it was a little sloppy. But Britt got the win. She should. She's Britt. She's arguably one of the top 3 most important people on that roster right now. And yeah, she's brilliant. So I'm not surprised she won. I would not like her to drop the belt to Thunder Rosa. I think she should redeem herself before she drops it, at least.
Britt Baker isn't going to drop the title anytime soon, I don't think. But we'll hold it as long as Hikaru Shida did. Maybe not. She doesn't need to hold it for a huge amount of time like Shida did.
I'm with you. I don't think she needs it. I think she's earned it though, just because of how long it took her to get there and how much she has carried that women's division. Like do you know the point is, I don't think she needs it, but I think AEW needs her to have it.
Yeah.
At right now. Absolutely. Because she did fine without it. She's still on TV every week. She's still doing her thing. But I would, just because of the history her and Thunder have had recent on AEW, I think to bring Thunder in and have Britt lose to her again and drop the title, I think that would suck for Britt. I think she should get at least one victory over Thunder over anybody before she drops that title.
Definitely.
Okay, brilliant. So we'll move on now. So next bit was Andrade come out with Tony Schiavone having a bit of a chat, and then he brings out Chavo Guerrero as his executive assistant. Not too sure over this one. I mean, obviously, you know, there's always the Guerrero name, same as why they have Vicky near him at first, and try and get that bit of rub of that Magic Guerrero magic on him and stuff like that. But I'm not too sure, because I'm wondering with Chavo, is he going to wrestle? Is he just going to, you know, what's his purpose?
I wish. I almost think he was like a plan B for them. I really think they were hoping to bring in Zelina to recapture that magic. I know they were talking to her. I feel like that was what they wanted to do. It fell through, so they wanted to do something different. I like Chavo more than I like Vicky. But like you said, is he going to wrestle? Is he just what are they doing with it? I
don't feel like the you know, when you look at what they actually said, what he said, just looking at me notes here, when he looked at one of the things I wrote down here is he come out and didn't really say much, but they didn't really explain why he was here. I mean, obviously, I know so the executive assistant, consultant, what does that mean? Because we haven't really found out what that means. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like just a wrestling terminology that no one knows what the hell it actually means. You know,
yeah. And the thing with me is, I always feel like if someone's going to come, like, look at Paul Heyman. So when Paul Heyman come in as Roman Reigns advocate, you look at that, and this is on the, this is where I feel the storytelling on this side was better. Is you knew what he was there for. He was to be his mouth. He was to speak for him. He was to advise him. And you kind of knew what you were getting. Where with this one, it's kind of like, okay, but what are you going to give to? What are you actually, you look at Paul Heyman's CV, for instance, with Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, whoever else he's worked with, he's done well with. Even Curtis Axel, done well with him. So everyone he's done with, he's always done well. So you kind of get it with Paul Heyman with the history behind it. But with Chavo, it's kind of like, okay, but what are you going to offer here? What's your offering to?
Yeah, he needs to establish himself and let us know why we should care that he's there. And you're right. He said nothing. So I kind of like zoned out during that whole segment because I was like, I don't know what's going on here. I know Chavo's out there and he's going to be at Andrade's side, but like, to what extent? What's going on?
It's like so what? It's just Chavo Guerrero, basically. It's like bringing a big name in just for the sake of it being a big name. It doesn't sell anything to anybody.
We have another Guerrero. Everybody, look.
Yeah. Oh, we've put him with the next Mexican star.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so next on this we had Christian Cage with Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy backstage. Said next week they're going to take on Angelico and Private Party. The reason I've marked down this is one of my things here, and on part of me notice says, "Isn't it sad that Jungle Boy is just treading water again?" I just feel like it's he's gone from obviously way up here, and the crowd popped for him big time. He was doing really well, and then it's just.
They seem to not have a clue what to do with the Jurassic Express. They came in as one of the hot favorite tag teams, along with the Lucha Brothers, and they just seem to be going nowhere. And it's a shame because I was really excited to see Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus when they were announced on the AEW roster. I was thinking these guys are going to go somewhere really fast and they're going to go somewhere really quickly, and they've gone nowhere the entire time I was watching. And then Jungle Boy's then had the extra momentum over the pandemic, which has been really good for him.
Yeah.
But now everything just seems to be going back downwards again. It's like they just don't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
Do you know what else I've put on my notes here as well is I started Googling some stuff for Jungle Boy just kind of, to get a thing where I feel like he's gone, where he's going to go next or something like that. And I've put on my notes, I was yesterday old when I found out that Jungle Boy was Luke Perry's son. I did not know that at all. No, it's a side note, but I just thought it was worth mentioning for anyone who doesn't know.
The thing I'll say about Luchasaurus was one of the things that most excited me when AEW first came out was how Cody said, we're going to listen to the fans. And if we have our stories written, but if this person is catching some attention, we're going to work that person into our story plans and really give the fans, what they want to an extent. Obviously you can't give them everything they want or it'll be just mayhem. But before the pandemic hit, Luchasaurus was a very overact. Like when he came out, he was getting the crowd.
Yeah, the fans are going mad whenever they came out. Yeah,
and then the pandemic hits, and then I'm not sure if there was something going on behind the scenes. If he wasn't available, he was injured. I don't know, but it just seems like it derailed everything with him, and he's kind of just almost like a bodyguard background guy for Jungle Boy now.
You feel like eventually it could work out for the Jungle Express if they brought in the 3-man tag belts that they're rumoured to be toying with the idea of.
If that's the case, it seems to be the only reason to keep them together is to make them the first trios champions. But then after that, what do you do with them?
Yeah, that's kind of my worry.
Yeah, I think it's better to split Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus apart and keep Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt together, or just split them all apart and let Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus go single superstars.
I would honestly put Marco with Luchasaurus and let them do the tag team thing. I think the size differential is a fun thing. I don't think you would necessarily need to split them for that. They could still be buddies and all that. They could still, have each other's back.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean like turning against each other. They can still be Jurassic Express, but have like Jungle Boy go in the singles route while with them. Like what Kofi Kingston did in the New Day.
Yeah. Okay. And I know they have the factions for it, but I know WWE toyed around with the idea of a 3-man belt back when the Wyatt family and Rome, the Shield was big thing, and it's a cool idea. But then, is it like a is it something that they have plans for? Is it just going to be something for the sake of putting a belt on somebody? And I don't want that to ever be the case.
They need to be.
I feel like in
smart
AEW, they've got a lot of factions.
Yeah,
so
you do.
They don't seem, they seem to be very faction heavy, and maybe them belts would actually help them to keep them factions, or a variety of new ones.
It would be cool. And again, I feel like they have the roster as far as like how they build their factions up and everything. I think it would definitely work as long as it was something that they actually had thought into and not just.
Yeah.
Let's do it because it'd be a cool idea, and we'll throw it on these guys.
Right, brilliant. Okay, so next we've got Orange Cassidy versus the Blade. Good match for me. I thought that Orange Cassidy sold some really good bits in the middle. There's a bit of a part where he tried to pick up the Blades and couldn't because he had a bad back. I always like stuff like that. I think it really plays into the whole story on it. Then when the Bunny tossed the brass knucks into the ring and Cassidy beat him to the punch, basically, more than the punch, and caught him with the orange punch. Nice win for him. Really like Cassidy. Hope to building him back up again. I thought last time he got to the kind of main event status, he come out of it with a lot of credibility, and it seems like he treaded a little bit for a while, and it seems like now he's starting to slowly but surely
come the fans back. He was bound to reach it again because he's over. Yeah,
he's definitely a future champion, 100%.
Yeah.
And that leads us onto our main event, which we'll go into just because I feel like it's relative, and I feel like this is where you may see Cassidy, is the IWGP United States title match between Moxley and Lance Archer. What do we think of that one, guys?
I'm glad Archer finally got a big win. It's long overdue. But what worries me is he's defending it next week, and I feel like he won it just so that he could drop it, and then it could go back to Japan. That's my gut reaction. What's going to happen? I hope not, because
do you not feel like he'll go to Japan himself?
He could. I think the timing of it is what tells me. They have his challenger in the crowd, and he wins it, and that guy's getting the winner next week. And maybe it was because of the no crowd, but Mox has had that belt for a minute, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And they really didn't do much with it. And then now it's kind of come back into the play of things. And I think just the whole timing of everything tells me that Archer won it so that he could lose it.
And do you know who Hikalu is?
Huh?
Do you know who Hikalu is? Because I've just got his name with a question mark.
No,
I haven't really seen much of him.
I don't. I've heard he's good, but I don't know who he is. And I probably wouldn't feel this way if Archer had been booked better up until now. But I feel like every time he's built up, it's just to put someone over, and then he gets sent back over to Elevation or Dark to beat a few nobodies, and then come back up when they need a big guy to take a loss and put, Miro over or whoever he's it's.
I mean, the one thing I'd say for the whole show was really, really good show, and as we hopefully Archer does continue. I think Archer might retain because people aren't expecting it, because I feel like most people will be thinking like you, Jimmy, and they'll be thinking he's going to take the loss to get the belt back over, and hopefully he keeps hold of it, and because he gets fired back to Elevation, that they might let him swap for a little bit, build up his profile, whatnot, but. The whole show, one thing that obviously the one thing we've got to talk about, it's the biggest news of the week, is CM Punk and Bryan coming over, Bryan Danielson coming over, or Daniel Bryan for WWE fans, coming over to AEW. I know it's still not confirmed. I'm not too sure. I think Bryan will be a good addition because he's a great wrestler anyway. He's still relatively hot because he's come from WWE. He's a very, very good creative mind. I loved him as the American Dragon. Love to see that come back again. Punk, on the other hand, I think he'd have a quick impact. So, I don't know. The only way I can describe it is Daniel Bryan would be like kind of taking a load of antibiotics or putting cream on 7 times a day for a week. It's going to be a longer process that you're going to get more out as you go on.
Yeah.
Where, you know, if you've got a cut on your arm and you throw vodka over it, I feel like that's what CM Punk is. You get that initial, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but then after that,
and then
there's nothing left.
CM Punk is going to give you a very short burn. But, you know, I thought Bryan Danielson, you know, I thought he'd do like Matt Cardona's doing. He'd like go to the other indie promotions, go to AEW, go to Impact Wrestling, go to Ring of Honor, and then do that for a couple of months before finally making a decision and saying, yes, I'm going to go to, which is what I think he is doing. I think he's going to like start with AEW, go there for a couple of months. And then if he feels it's right for him, he'll stay there.
Yeah, I think the good thing is they'll let him bounce anyway.
Yeah,
I feel
absolutely.
Like
he's going to have a lot of leeway. Like, yeah, you want to do that? Go ahead and do that. We're cool with it. I'm surprised he didn't show up in Ring of Honor before. I felt like that.
I think he will
before AEW.
No, I feel like at some point he will.
I feel like the Ring of Honor thing would have been cool if that was his first thing back after the WWE run. I think that would have been just a cool thing to do, and really give Ring of Honor, you know, some press to get eyes on them, and then come on over to AEW and do the thing.
I think he's got a bit in his contract about New Japan as well, I believe. Yeah,
he's definitely doing New Japan stuff. But with the CM Punk thing, I think you're right about Daniel Bryan. He's gonna, as far as the in-ring stuff, and he's good at everything, but he's gonna give you in-ring stuff that Punk you're not gonna get from Punk. I'm big, one of the biggest Punk fans you'll meet. It's not gonna happen in the ring with him. But what he's going to be able to do is really bring, and with a free mic, like an open mic, I think that's must-see TV. You have to know, like, he's on TV, he's got a microphone in his hand. I need to watch. I need to know what he's going to say. And with the stories that, like, I don't think anybody will argue he's great with storytelling. Whether it be in the ring or the stories he puts together. And I think that can really help elevate certain people. I don't want him in the main event scene. There's no need for it. He's been away for far too long, and I don't think he can really hang with a lot of those guys.
The only thing is, though, you don't know whether he's been doing training behind the scenes. Nobody knows, do they? So that's what I'd be interested to see.
I just think he's really going to help as far as like with, and not to say AEW needs it, but like with certain long-term storytelling and really being able to piece things together. And that's what I'm most excited about seeing with him. Because I've been missing it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we wrap up AEW there. Really good show for me. I thought that quite a few surprises, some really good storytelling, and I'm looking forward to next week. I think it is Fight for the Fallen.
Yeah.
So should be a good one. So do you want to move on, Joe?
Yeah, and we shall round off the session with what's happened. What's the talking points of SmackDown this week, guys?
The biggest one is the Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns surprise. Did not see that coming at all. No. I think
happy birthday to Finn Balor as well, 40 today.
What's that?
Happy birthday to Finn Balor.
Oh, okay.
40th birthday today.
But yeah, I think that's interesting, because with his debut last week, it kind of seemed like he was just being thrown into nothing. Like, oh, here's Finn Balor, he's gonna beat up Sami Zayn, and then go back to smiling Finn, who's directionless. But then to close out the show with having him come out and like, you don't want to fight John, you can fight me. I like it. I think it's like a huge surprise. I don't think anyone saw it coming. it's very unlikely he wins, obviously, but I feel like there are ways they can go about it to where it's like a 3% chance it does happen, but where Finn can find a way with either John Cena doing something or just some kind of craziness happening where Finn leaves with the belt, because then you could still have Roman and John Cena and it's a marquee match.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need a belt for us to be like, yeah, I want to watch that. I think it's entertaining enough. The belt is just kind of like
Belt's a prop.
It's a prop with a match of this magnitude. So if you put it on Finn, then you're creating another marquee matchup for the show.
Yeah.
Again, very unlikely. But
and the fact that Cena is probably going to leave after this match, which we all know anyway, is the fact is it doesn't give a credible threat to the title, really, does it?
Yeah, exactly. So if Finn didn't have the belt, then it's like, oh, anything can really happen at SummerSlam at this point.
Yeah.
And then
I thought the one thing on that there though was Roman Reigns promo was just absolutely perfect.
John told him to get better, and that man got better. It was a brilliant promo.
I mean, to quote a bit of it, what was it? John Cena is like having missionary every night. It's just over and over the same thing.
It's the same thing over and over. That's just not what I'm into.
Yeah, and that's the thing we were going into it before about WWE becoming a bit more risque, and that is a prime example of it. Is where
it took me back. I was like, whoa.
They're pushing it a little bit, but they're not pushing it too much. And they're still keeping this other stuff. And, you know, you were spot on the money before, Jimmy, about the fact of, you know, I think SmackDown was exactly the same as Raw, and it's exactly the same as the WWE product of what they're trying to do with it, or what they're trying to achieve at the moment is it's very one for everyone. And I'm liking it.
But better to have a balance than it said to have it to one extreme than the other. You know, at least there's something for everyone.
Because one of the things I point out to people when I get into this argument about WWE being not just for you, it's for business. I can sit there and watch Raw and SmackDown with my two kids because they find enjoyments out of things. Whereas when I try and watch NXT, it's not the same. They're not as interested or invested in it because that show is pretty much designated towards a certain type of fan. And as far as AEW goes, my son shows interest in it sometimes, but again, that's designated. I won't say it's designated towards one fan, but it's designated towards a more, I would say the demo
mindset.
The demo 20 to 40. I think that's where they're going for, and they do a great job with it. But that's what I enjoy the most about WWE is that I can sit there and enjoy it, and the kids can enjoy it, and it's just a good time. As opposed to just, hey, where are you going? Or explaining why this is, it's just not the same. And I don't watch SmackDown as much as I watch Raw just because of the time. But when I do, it's always, it's fun to watch with the kids. So
yeah, see, I'm the opposite. I watch more SmackDown and I watch Raw, and you know,
the Friday night kills me.
I mean, the one thing that I'll say is that I thought was really good on this one. I like the kind of flipping to the was it the festival, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Rock and Roll Festival. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, I thought Bianca Belair really done her stuff on that and looked great.
I loved the shot that went through the ring into the crowd. I thought that was a great shot. I wish the crowd was a little bit better, but it is what it is. They were dead. They were dead for the entire night. It wasn't just the wrestling, so it was just a bad crowd in general. But the visual of it was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, and the fact that they kind of didn't put all their eggs in one basket and just throw the whole show at that thing.
That would have been a huge mistake.
Yeah. So, but apart from that, I thought like the match between Bianca and Carmella was very good. Yeah. Didn't see the point in it because Bianca beat her last week, so didn't really see the being a relative reason to do that.
I think that was just to put it in front of that crowd. I think that was the only reason for them having the rematch.
And then the Street Profits popped back up, didn't they, as well? And they always seem to be with the Street Profits. It always seems to be them, and then they link Bianca in somewhere all the time, don't they? But considering they're meant to be two different acts, I mean, obviously we know in real life that Bianca's married to one of them, but they always seem to kind of tie them in somewhere.
Work them into each other,
yeah. But apart from that, we also have Big E come out. A little bit confused by that whole segment, if I'm being honest.
That whole segment was very weird. I don't know what they're doing with it. I assume it's going to be like a 6-man tag next week.
Yeah.
But where they go with it from there, no clue. I hope it's not like a 6-man Intercontinental title ladder match or something like that, SummerSlam. I think that would be overkill. We just had Money in the Bank, so there's no need to do that. But that would be my guess where they're going with it.
With Big E, what's the point in him being in there? He's Money in the Bank. So he's got something better. I mean, no disrespect, he's got something, But the thing, I just felt like, you give him the Money in the Bank. Let's start telling a bit of a story of some sort with that briefcase and all the stuff that goes with it. And I feel like they missed out on a trick with Big E by just throwing him in a kind of, the let me up segments, as they like to call them.
I think a good thing would have been to do after the Finn Roman segment, just have Big E pop out on the stage. Just let him know, like, hey, I'm here. That could have been a better way to have Big E on the show than what they did with him, because it was it's confusing. I don't know what they were doing with it, but it almost feels like they might be waiting until he's moved, because I mean the rumor is he's going to Raw. And I think with the Bobby Lashley stuff with Kofi and Xavier, it is a good story that is there. They just have to connect the dots with it. And
I like Big E having the briefcase, but I think the best Big E is with the New Day. I don't like him on his own. It hasn't. I think he did well when he had the IC title, but once he lost it, there was nothing for him, and it just seemed. No, I see. Even when he's got a belt or something, I feel like the New Day just need to be back together. I just feel like that needs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they need together for sure.
And then the other bit on there, which I thought was absolute class, was Baron Corbin, with the whole where he goes over and he gives him money and he gets it with the shotsy thing. And I feel like this segment, it faded Baron's eventual face turns, didn't it? And it also, I thought that Kevin Owens looked good in this whole segment, because showed that he's not just in it, he's got a bit of a thing about him. And also it gives Shotzi a bit of a little bit in a section with the new guys as well. With some established stars as well. I think it was a win-win for all involved.
Yeah. It allowed us to remember that Shotzi and Tegan are still there, instead of just, they won and now they're not on the show at all. I think something like that worked perfectly. I'm so happy Baron Corbin is finally getting the recognition that's in a positive way. Not, it's go away heat. No, I've never bought into that. He's good. He's really good at what he does. And I'm glad that he's getting this gimmick to really flourish in, because he's knocking it out of the park. I love it.
Yeah, agreed. And apart from that, there was no real standouts. On SmackDown, I thought it was a show that was just. It was a show about this. Yeah, it was a show. It was to get the scene popping. It was to, which, by the way, when he started going on about sports teams, and I was like, "Come on, mate, you're better than that." So, knock that on the head. But apart from that, I like the Finn Balor thing. I like the way that he flipped back and forward. I thought Chad Gable match was solid with as I say, with the Street Profit.
The Finn and Sami Zayn was phenomenal as well.
Yeah, it was. Yep. It was.
It gave me high hopes, because that's how the show after the John Cena thing, that's the first match we get, and I'm like, okay, I can get into this. And then
I would have liked to have seen that match placed a little bit more towards the middle of the card, maybe, you know what I mean? Because you know, it's one of them matches, isn't it? Where same way when you've got Sammy and Owens, you know, they keep going back to that well all the time, but at the same time, you know, you're going to get a good match. Same with O'Reilly and Adam Cole. You know, you're going to get a good match. So
it's not going to be the same thing you've seen 100 times over, even though they've wrestled each other 100 times. They're very good at giving us something different each time. Yeah.
Okay, doke. And any other points on SmackDown? I think
that's covered everything right there.
So.
Okay, so I guess that wraps it up for everybody. So one last time, where can we find you guys? Andy, do you want to start?
Yeah, at Brit Wrestle PC on Twitter and Brit Wrestling Fan Podcast on YouTube. And obviously all my articles that I write for Wrestle Buddies. I am one of the Wrestle Buddies, so please check out my articles. Normally, as I say, top 5 stuff that I like to just think about and pop them out there. For my latest one was 5 promotional moves. Obviously with Punk and Daniel Bryan looking like they're going to AEW. I kind of done a top 5 on previous company moves, so go check that out, guys.
And Jimmy, the same to you. Where can we find you?
Again, the Twitter, the name is Jimmy Bebe. The handle is Jimmy Baby, because again, someone stole it from me. You can find the Jimmy Bebe on PlayStation Network if you want to play WWE out with me. I'm on there from time to time. Right for WrestleBuddy. You can check out my latest one where I talk about the best possible feuds, I think, for the potential Daniel Bryan and CM Punk entrance into the AEW world. And yeah, if you want to talk about wrestling, I'm always on Twitter. I'll talk all day about NXT. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Okay, and you can find me on Twitter at JOKEmptySpace, also on WrestleBuddy, focusing on Impact Wrestling mostly. I am still working on this article for Rosemary that I did promise you guys. We are still going to be journeying into the Valley of Shadows. It's just taking a bit while longer than I had anticipated. I did promise it to you guys by Slammiversary, but events at home with the puppy and other issues have made it a bit longer than needed. But it will, when it's done, it's done. And feedback I've gotten on it so far from Alexander at WrestleBuddy has been really positive. So that alone lets you guys know that you are in for a treat once it is done. And of course, articles I do write for WrestleBuddy don't come frequently. I want to make sure they're done as best as I can, so don't go back and keep rewriting them, because I spend most of the time doing that as I'm writing them. So it's a lot. It's like pack a lot into one segment for you to if you have 10-15 minutes, sit back and read it, sort of thing. So I've done a couple on the X Division to start off with, so you get a snapshot of what I've done. Yeah, the stuff on the X Division is probably the best one to start off with. And that's all from everybody here at tonight's WrestleBuddy session. Thanks to Andy, thanks to Jimmy, thanks to Alexander out back, and join us again next week. I might be here, I might not be. We'll have to wait and see. I've been the Joker, and take care.
Take care, guys.
One more thing. If I'm not on next week or any week before that, I will see you SummerSlam weekend and during the Quiz Buddies finalists show.
You had to rub it in, Jimmy, didn't you?
First winner.
Yes, rub it in. Yes.
So,
I didn't even get to the best of the rest.
Next week, I'll see you then, people.
Yeah, take care, guys. Thank you.
Later.